So how's everybody doing? So, a while back, Joe over at JS Blightcraft had a live talking about a comment he had on one of his swords. Guy was just being a jerk, basically, saying that's not really handcrafted, stuff like that. There's flaws in it, and all these swords have flaws in it. I don't care how much money you spent in it. You're going to find flaws. It's like my swords. None of them are perfect. None of them. I don't say they are neither. So, I made a comment that maybe I'll do a video on some of the stuff that I've done because I've worked with metal for about 30 years now of my career, and I've made some stuff that's all basically handcrafted. So I told him I might do a video on that, showing, you know, and talking about the handcrafted stuff that I've done to kind of show, there's only so much you can do. He thought it was a great idea. So finally getting this video together. So let me get this camera off the tripod, and then we'll take a look at some of the things that I've done, and I can explain how, even though it may look perfect, it isn't. Okay, so let me reposition and get this camera off of here, and we'll get into it. Okay, so here's the first thing. Now I can show you the whole thing because we have stuff at the bottom of it, but this is part of my wife's baker shelf I made for a wedding anniversary. Now, looking at it, you would think, oh, that's like, some of that's like perfect. But it really isn't. There's little mishaps, like right in here, you see a little flat. And then on top of it, these scrolls are all custom, so the length of these scrolls change from the material that you cut because they shrink down so much when you make those swoops. So everybody knows too, all this that you see here was all done with no heat. The only heat added to it was when I welded it. Even these drip trays. In fact, you kind of see the drip trays on it. Absolutely 100% perfect. But these drip trays are handmade. Let me see if I can get it in the video. This is solid 1/2-inch square bar that I spun by hand. No heat. So yeah, it takes a little bit of work when you handcraft stuff. Absolutely. Now, I'll show you a couple other pieces that I've done. So hang on a second. So here's another piece. This piece is all done by hand too. Okay. This is 1/2-inch square tubing that I put in a hand operated roller and rolled. Was it perfect? No, it's not. It's close, but it's not 100% perfect. But yeah, this is another example. And all those rings are handmade. So trying to do this, and the hard part is matching these scrolls so they mirror one another all the time. That's not easy to do. That's extremely difficult. Because if you twist it too much, especially on these ends right here, or at the other end, totally changes everything for you. So, and I got a couple more pieces I'll show you. So hang on. Now, some of you may have seen these in some of my videos. These are candelabras. These are all handmade. Everything. This is just pipe I had. And I cut a flat piece of flat plate, made it a circle, made the rings, top and bottom. And then on the bottom, there's scroll work too. And then we have something like this. It's really elaborate. Everything in all these, pretty much all these scrolls match for each side. So The only thing I didn't make on these is these. At work we had these that were going to melt, so I grabbed some. So this is like a one of a kind. But yeah, it's not easy to do. It's actually very, very difficult. That's why these sword makers say there might be some variations to them. And by the way, like the first one and this one, they have a matching set. In fact, there's the other one. So they actually match one another. And then I have another candelabra that I made. And this is 1/2 inch square tubing that I rolled. And there's no gauges on my roller, so I just got to play it by ear what I want. And there's the second one. But these arms match one another, even in height. The only thing that's really off that I made is this guy. This is my scorpion's back. So basically it's all 1/2 inch round bar. I did all the padding and everything. But that centerpiece, you can see, is off. In fact, the tail is off. It kind of goes that way. But that's all hand done. So, just thought I'd show you guys, when you go to do handmade stuff, it's kind of difficult. Even this. This is another piece I did. All these little pieces are all hand cut out. The copper, the steel plates, then I had to airbrush all of these. Airbrushed all that right in there. I had to tape all this off and airbrush it. And then these rivets, I had to be careful because all these pieces were painted. These are set or blind rivets, set rivets. So basically you put this in, you hammer the backside of them and they don't come out. So I had to tape all this off, find the holes that I drilled, pre-drilled, so I didn't mess up any of the paint because all these pieces, well, that one's not a piece, but this piece, that piece, those were already pre-painted. And then I had to tape all this off to paint in here because this is not a piece, it's just painted. So it's very difficult when you sit there and you do stuff by hand to get it just perfect. That's for sure. So hopefully that kind of explains for you guys, when you get these swords, don't expect it to be like what you read about and everything else. Because I guarantee you, those ones you see in museums, they're not perfect. So if you get somebody like that, I would say either ignore them who are sitting there being jerks or basically call them out. Tell them to make one. I just thought I'd do this to show you guys. It's not an easy thing. It can be very, very difficult. But it's actually really rewarding when you do get it done. So we'll see you guys later and take it easy.